Stories like that are all plastered across social media right now, flooded with people remembering Dick Goddard. There are so many amazing tweets and posts right now. 3 News digital anchor Stephanie Haney joins us with what people are saying. Hey, Stephanie.
Hey, Romney. Oh my goodness, that story about the hot dog, that is just testament to the person that Dick Goddard was. And as soon as we learned about his passing this morning, tributes started pouring in celebrating his life. His longtime co-worker, Robin Swoboda, shared this photo with him from her wedding, tagging co-anchor Tim Taylor and writing, "Dick Goddard was the rarest of the rare. The world is a better place for having you in it. I will always love you." He was well known, as many people have said, as an animal lover and advocate. The Cleveland Animal Protective League shared this photo, and President and CEO Sharon Harvey said, "Dick was devoted to making a difference that mattered for the 4 foots, and he made standing for animals the right thing to do in Cleveland and beyond." And his many fans shared memories of him today too, calling him a legend and saluting him as a gentleman who was well respected and loved. Karen Inman posted that Cleveland loved Dick, writing, "Thanks for all you did. The Woolly Bear Festival will not be the same." And so many people have mentioned that Woolly Bear Festival, Romney. Dick Goddard actually came up with that idea where people show up, they dress themselves up, they dress their pets up to celebrate the woolly bear caterpillar. So his love for animals was not limited to the furry ones. Just one more reason why he'll always be so special here to Northeast Ohio.
Absolutely. And I think at a time right now, I feel like I can't get enough of these amazing stories about Dick Goddard. Thank you, Stephanie.